And just like that, she just hatched. I have queens coming out of everywhere. But check this out. I pulled 8 queens today. All right, here it is. Friday, April 11th, right after 11:30. Temperature is 65 degrees, humidity is 86%, and we received about a ½ inch of rain in the last 24 hours. Why do I mention that? Because I am about to get out into the bee yard to get the observation hive that's over there on the porch back into hive number 12. And sometimes recent rain makes the bees very agitated, so we'll see how this goes. Everything went great at Milestone. It's always fun sharing my passion about bees with the local community and especially the schools in the surrounding area. So let me do a few things. Let me get the observation hive out here, and it's that time of year where I will continuously scan the trees for any potential swarms, whether they're mine or somebody else's. But yeah, let's get number 12 put back together, and that'll probably be it for today. Maybe. I do have a swarm in the yellow trap. I was just thinking before I came out here, if anything, I might move them out of the tree onto the ladder and then inch the ladder 3 to 5 feet over the next week into the bee yard, and then get them set up on one of the this is a good thing, but one of the limited spots on the hive stand, because the yard went from 12, I think in early March, late March, to I think I'm almost maxed out again at 20. Maxed out comfortably. I'm just gonna move the top portion, which is where the queen is. I'm just gonna move her off to the side and transfer that frame last, just so I don't have a chance rolling the queen. All right, that usually goes pretty quickly, so let's get the top frame out of here. That has the queen, and then number 12 will be whole again, and hopefully she's on the frame, otherwise it gets a little tricky sometimes. Okay, there she is, and that's that. And there are some bees, just like moving any equipment around, there are some bees that just kind of hang out, but over the next few hours they'll make their way back into the hive. And I'll set this equipment on the ground in front of the hive just to help them out. All right, that went pretty easy, and I am very happy with version 2 of the swarm traps I made. Version 1 lasted about 5 years, and then I made these last year. And what I am talking about is this. Adding a piece of wood on the back with some eye bolts, it makes it extremely easy to get the traps on and off the trees. So it's only been a few minutes, and as you can see, there's a lot of field bees coming back to where the trap was, but considering the trap is practically directly below the branch it was resting on, I'm gonna open up some of the entrances, probably all the entrances, so the bees have 3 options to migrate back into the trap. And then, like I said earlier, I'll move it maybe 5 feet or so a day until it gets out into the yard. All right, well, I decided, since I'm already out here and I have time today, which will save me time over the weekend, and I'm already a little sweaty, right? So why not get into the hives today versus tomorrow? Let's figure out if some hives have a queen, and well, the ones that I didn't find last week, and for the majority, I think 7 of the 9, let's see if they've become queen right, and I get another chance to break out the blue marker to mark some new queens. Hopefully. All right, just gave them some smoke. They seem rather calm, which is one of the many ways to kind of gauge if a hive has a queen. But whether this was probably last week or maybe the week before, 4 queen cells in the top box. So at least I know what I'm looking for. That's what I'm saying. They seem kind of calm. No evidence of the queen just yet. I'm still in the top box, but I'm guessing this is one of the newer frames that I waxed. I mean, they are drawing this out nicely, packing away nectar. and already curing it, which is just fantastic to see. All right, so far it looks like they are still trying to requeen. This is frame number 4 with two pretty nice queen cells, fully capped queen cells too. So I'm just gonna mark the top of the frame like I have been with last year's color, just indicating where the cells are at. A lot of food stores, which is not uncommon to find when a hive is going through the requeening process, but it would be nice to find a queen or evidence of. But that's fine. At least they're making cells. And here's another one too on the very next frame. All right, 19 seems to still be going through the requeening process. I'm not sure about my note on the top lid anymore because the bottom box, and I know it's accurate now, 2, 3, 6 very nice queen cells. So I'll just check back next weekend. Down here at number 6, this should be relatively easy. 1 box, 8 frames. And my note is to check to see if they have a queen. All right, over here on frame 5, so that queen cup now was what I marked, assuming last week. And then since then, they developed those 2 on that side, and these 4 on this side. So no evidence they have a queen. I don't see any eggs. Well, as I say that, I just noticed there's a whole bunch of pretty young larvae. Yeah, I don't see any eggs, so not sure what happened. And this was a split I made from one of the other hives, right? So I guess I'm just gonna let nature take its course, mark the top bar of all the queen cells, and then check back in a week. Yeah, not sure what happened. So it looks like they may have swarmed sometime in the last week or 2, and then with the swarm I have in the box, which is number 3, and then number 4, which I moved down to I think 18, but I ended up marking them. So the unknown right now is swarm number 3 still in the swarm trap, because I don't know if they have a marked queen. If I find a marked queen and a green queen, there's a good chance it may have been number 6. Process 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 queen cells on that one frame. Just like the previous, I'll come back in a week or probably 2 with how they're kind of like in the middle of the cycle. They're not new and they're not extremely mature, so maybe 2 weeks, check on number 6 and see if one of the queens ended up hatching, mating, and returning. All right, down here at 13 to see if they have a queen, and according to my notes, I marked the top bars of maybe a few frames to indicate where the queen cells were, and the notes said there were quite a few. So hopefully they fixed their situation in the last week, but we'll find out here in a little bit. All right, so here we go. So 1, 2, 3, frame number 4 and frame number 3. That's what I'm checking in addition to the usual checks. All right, so frame number 3 still appears to have a queen cell. I checked the sides because sometimes if another queen, well, not sometimes, but if another queen hatches, she'll kill the rest of the cells, and they'll look like they're still maturing or haven't hatched yet. And sometimes you can tell by looking at the side, the bees have started to chew them out. So I am continuing to look. This is the next frame, and I'm trying to determine where the queen cell was, because there's no evidence of it. All right, frame number 6. I know you can't see this, but some open brood and some eggs. So it looks like they've become queen right. They are pretty calm too. So now it's just a matter of trying to find her, but honestly it's not a big deal if you don't, since they have signs that they have a queen. I just want to find her and get her marked, so then next time it's just a little easier. All right, down here at 4, for the sole reason of trying to find the queen, my notes said everything looked good last week as far as eggs and brood. I simply just did not find her, so that's really what I'm gonna focus on this week. I mean, since I'm in the hive, I'll check the usual boxes for inspections, but if I can find her, I'll get her marked. All right, so they're queen right with a marked queen, so I'm not 100% sure what my notes are all about, but considering she's in the bottom box, I'm about to grab a queen excluder. All right, moving right along. I'm down here at 5. My note was to see if they've become queen right. The notes from last week's inspection continue to monitor. They still have several queen cells, the majority in the medium box with 1 or 2 in the deep. All capped, very mature, and should hatch in the next week. So let's see if we have evidence they're queen right as I check the frames for eggs, and hopefully that's the case, right? And maybe I can find the queen if that is the case and get her marked. All right, here I am in the top medium box, and as y'all have seen, I mark the top bars with an arrow that indicates what side a queen cell is on, and that looks like a stereotypical hatched queen. Down in the bottom box on the 5th frame, so I marked that location last week. It looks like it's hatched out, so that makes for 2, I believe, or maybe even more, with the queen cells in the medium box. But I'm not seeing any eggs just yet. There's a good chance she recently hatched and hasn't made it yet. And finding a virgin queen it's pretty difficult, so unless I find her in the next 3 frames, I'm just gonna, oh, there she is. No kidding. Check it out, right there. So, all right, yeah. Looks like a virgin queen. I'm not gonna mark her for that very reason, and then I'm just gonna check back in a week. All right, so that was good to see. And since I know she's in the bottom box, I'm gonna add a queen excluder after I shake all the bees out of the medium box, mainly to get a lot of the drones down into the bottom box. All right, so this is kind of cool. I just tore down a queen cell over here, and as I was uncapping this one to see if it was still alive, it is definitely still alive. So I'm about to cut this queen cell out, cage her, and then introduce her to one of the hives I know does not have a queen, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, actually, you can see this one trying to hatch too, so I need to move quickly. And just like that, she just hatched, hanging out right there, eating some nectar. So I'm going to cage her, and I know I have hives that need a queen. Within minutes, the queen that was still in the cell that I caged hatched. That is crazy, and there's quite a few more, so I need to check on those real quick. And another one right there. I'm gonna try and get her caged in the JZBZ. Holy smokes. All right, down here at 15 finally. That took a while, number 5, mainly because, I mean, I found the queen in the bottom box, which is fantastic. And as I'm finding, or as I discover that queen, 4 queen cells hatched. And since I need some queens, I figured it was worth spending some time to cage them so I can introduce them to any hives I have inspected and any hives I'm about to inspect. In true number 15 fashion, they are feisty, but thanks to number 5, I'm introducing 1 caged queen, and I'll just check on them in a few days because I used a gummy versus a marshmallow because I don't have any marshmallows. It's a lot more dense, and I don't know if they'll actually be able to chew through it. So I'm gonna make a plan to check on them on Sunday. All right, down here at number 3, my notes from last week said they had a lot of nice queen cells in, I believe, the bottom box. So we're just gonna make a quick check, and just like the previous hive, if those queen cells haven't hatched or they're just not looking good, thanks to number 5, I will introduce a queen to them. I don't know why I have not been doing this over the years. I got another queen from this cell right here, which is frame number 3. It's probably the best problem to have. I have queens coming out of everywhere. So check that out. And another one. Cool thing, I remember this. So it looks like that one may have been chewed out for some reason, and then this one, as y'all saw, just hatched. So I'm still going through this colony to see if they're queen right, but so far I've managed to pull 2 queens out of it. I can't make this up. As I'm checking this one actually hatched from like the backside. I need to go grab some more JZBZ cages. Here we go again. I'm about to cage her. All right, finally down here at 7. They look like they are making some nice honey. My note said there was quite a few queen cells in one of the boxes. Let me show you this real quick, because honestly, I don't know how many more queens I could possibly need. Oh, it's not that one. Maybe this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that does not include the one I already installed in 15. It's turning into be a pretty good day to get some hives queen right. Unfortunately, I guess, right? That means I'm probably gonna have to go back through quite a few hives that I determined are still trying to get queen right. So I'm gonna have to look at my notes, figure out what that looks like, but now I have the resources to really get some colonies moving in the right direction. I'm over here on the 5th frame of the deep box, and it looks like they may have a queen. That queen cell definitely hatched the most natural way. They're acting as if they are still queenless, and quite frankly, there's so many bees in here, it's going to be hard to find a virgin queen. I'm going to keep going. Worst case scenario, I have to check next week once some time has passed and maybe the virgin queen has made it, returned, and started to lay, but I still have a few frames to go. I just saw her. It looks like potentially, there she is right there, potentially a virgin queen. So I'm just gonna box them up. All right, down here at number 9, my notes were I had a bunch of medium cells, or queen cells in one of the medium boxes, so that's what I'm gonna check. And if one looks like it's hatched out, there's a good chance they have a queen running around just like the last one, but we won't know until we look. All right, well, this took way longer than I thought, and to think I only went through 9 hives, but check this out. I pulled 8 queens today, and I think I need 6. So I'm gonna start with number 19 down here. I guess it really doesn't matter which one I pull. Yeah, so I'm gonna start with 19. I already made the note in Hive Tracks that I'm adding a caged queen and a queen excluder. So I'm gonna check back on Sunday for all the queens I'm adding to see if the bees released them due to using my son's gummies, because I completely ran out of marshmallows. So I don't know if they're gonna be able to chew through that. It's pretty thick, but just in case they don't, I'm gonna come back on Sunday. All right, as I'm wrapping things up, so here's the conundrum. So on a positive note, all the hives that I decided were queenless as I went through and inspected, some had some pretty nice queen cells, or at least I thought, and some didn't. Thanks to number 5 and another hive, I believe, I was able to pull 8 queens today, and I got, I believe, 6. I've installed 6, something like that, maybe 5. I have 3 left over, so I'm trying to decide what to do. And the first thought that comes to mind is number 1, right? So number 1's been kind of limping along all season. I'm gonna pop the top on them, see if their brood patterns increased, or if it looks any better than it did maybe from last week and throughout the month, but they've been kind of struggling, so I might actually pinch that queen, introduce a virgin, and check on them on Sunday like the rest of them, and maybe over the next few weeks she'll mate and return. But look how busy this yard is. This looks absolutely amazing. And then who knows, maybe I'll make 2 splits because I have 2 queens left over, split to some pro nukes, TBD. So been out here for a while. So this is kind of interesting down here at hive number 1. Looks like the bees, I don't know, looks like the bees are trying to make a decision. I haven't found the queen yet. Nice brood frames. Don't really see too many eggs. I'm starting to like the Hive Tracks app more and more, because as I was going through all the frames and not seeing the queen at all, I look back at my notes, and it seems like last week when I added the queen excluder, I wasn't too sure where she was, and my note says check back next week to see if she's in the top box. So considering I don't see her here, and they developed some queen cells, maybe because her pheromones just not traveling down to this box. I'm not entirely sure if that's a thing, but who knows. I'm gonna get into the top box here in a second and see if I can find her. And as I say all that, it does make more sense why I'm not seeing any eggs, because if she's been out of this box, the bottom box, right, for over a week, probably not going to find any eggs. So that'll be something if she's actually in the top box. I'm just going back through. I mean, she's doing a nice job. These were eggs that were laid over a week ago. Pretty nice frame of capped brood. But yeah, we'll see here in a second. Perhaps she's in the top box, and I left myself a useful note. It's starting to look more and more like that, because yeah, I'm not seeing her here. I really see why beekeepers like having queens on hand. I mean, it just takes so much guesswork out of whether or not a hive has a queen. And then I guess the only thing you really have to determine is if they accept her, check back to see if she gets released. If not, assist with that. And then check back in maybe a week or so to see if she successfully made it and returned. All right, well, I got 2 more queens to figure out what I want to do. All right, so it's just after 4 o'clock. And just like the last few weekends, I am whooped. So my plan, which I stuck to, was to go through 9 hives. And that took the better part of maybe 4 hours due to all the things that y'all saw. That's a first. I'm still thinking about it. To be able to harvest, if you want to call it that, 8 queens from 1 or 2 hives, most of them coming from 1 hive. Absolutely amazing to me. And that hive, I think, was number 5. And timing is everything, right? Because I could not be in any more of a need to be able to get that many queens out of a few hives to get the rest of the hives queen right. I'm saying queen right, obviously I need to check back in a few days to see if the colonies release those queens. If not, I will assist with that, especially today being Friday afternoon. So Friday to Saturday afternoon, Saturday to Sunday afternoon, that should be enough time for the queen to get her pheromones circulating to where they don't ball her up, right? So now the decision point is, what do I do with these 2 additional queens that I have? So my plan really is to, I'm gonna put them in between the telescoping cover and the inner cover of one of the stronger hives to keep them warm, and perhaps some of the bees will feed them, hopefully. And if they are still alive tomorrow, I think I'm gonna make some splits. I'm gonna pull just a few frames, maybe one frame from the strongest hives. Food and brood is what I'm going for. 2 food, 2 brood, and maybe one new frame since we have the nectar flow going on. Insert those queen cages and then just check back on them. And I think I'm going to use the Pro Nukes for simplicity, and I'm running out of woodenware, which is a good problem. I have one nuke in place with a few more 5-frame deep boxes, but I also have that swarm in the trap that I'm not going to really move out here until next week. And what I did last year with swarms, I moved the 5 frames from the swarm trap into a nuke and then put another 5-frame nuke box on top with all new foundation. And I have some foundation that's nice and heavily waxed, and they drew all those frames out within a week and then transferred them into a 10-frame. So with keeping that in mind and with the limited space I now have, which is again a great problem, I'm going to use I'm just going to prep two Pro Nukes to make some splits tomorrow. Right, hey, much longer of a Friday in the bee yard than I thought. I just made a plan to check 9 colonies from last week that I knew were trying to get queen right, and I'm glad I did, because I don't remember one other time that I was actively in a hive conducting an inspection and had queens hatch on me. All right, hey, here it is, Sunday, April 13th, right at 11:30. The temperature is 61 degrees, the humidity is 54%, and I already have my veil on for a good reason, because as soon as I hit the trail, I need to, and I will show you why right now. So last night after dark, I started what I said much earlier in the month of moving the ladder towards the bee yard. So I am, in my mind, I am way past the schedule I had in mind, because I wanted to have them in the yard by today. So that might actually happen sometime next week. So they've reorientated, no big deal, and to be expected. About the 5-foot difference, I moved them from beneath the pine tree there. I was gonna get them moved over into a Pro Nuke, but surprisingly, with some of the overnight temps being as cold as it has been, I figured I'd leave them in the swarm box since the wood insulates better than the Pro Nuke would. I came out here to check on the queens that I did introduce on Friday in the JZBZ cages to see if the bees have started to release her, or if she started to try and release herself. Mainly because, like I said, I've never used gummies before. I was in a pinch, and that's all I had to plug up the hole. So we'll see how that's going. So I just plan on popping the tops on those hives, or getting in between the boxes, or getting into the deep box really, to see if the bees have released her. And if they haven't, I went to the store and bought some mini marshmallows. So I'll pry the gummy out and then just insert one mini marshmallow semi-loosely, maybe to buy her another day. But between Friday, Saturday, and now, her pheromones should be circulating quite nicely. So we'll just kind of make a decision on the fly whether to release her or insert a marshmallow and give her another day. Let me get my gloves on. We'll take the traditional walk out to the bee yard, show you the front entrances. They're flying. So like I said, it's about 60 degrees, or let's see what it is right now. (62). So 62, and they're flying. But those are the field bees. So 65 to 70 degrees is really where you want the temperatures to be to open up hives, because you may chill the brood, but if you have other reasons to get into the hives, like I said today a few times, checking on those queen cages, sometimes you just gotta make do. But the tip I can give everybody, just be quick. All right, enough me yapping. Let's get out to the yard, see how the hives are looking, and try to get a few things done today. All right, let's make a trip around the front, since I need to turn off the electric fence. All right, man, it looks nice out here. Cooler temps, but that does not prevent the bees from flying and taking advantage of our nectar flow. I'm gonna take might just completely take the entrance reducer off 18, or turn it around to the larger side. This is awesome to see. It's taken a week or two, but the splits I made, it's awesome to see that many field bees. Looks like I'll do some cleaning up. They have a bunch of debris on that entrance. All right, yeah, yard looks good. Nice and busy, which is what I want to see. All right, the moment of truth. I have not looked, but down here at number 5, about to open the top cover, and let's see if those 2 queens are still alive. Oh, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Where'd the second queen cage go? All right, no kidding. Perhaps doing what I did worked. They are still alive, so I'm just gonna put them right back. I will get to them later, but first let's start at the other end of the yard and let's check the hives I introduced the queen to and all the things I said earlier. Replace the gummies with a marshmallow and check back in maybe a day or two. All right, down here at number 1, and again, big props to the Hive Tracks app, because even though I marked some inner covers with a star to indicate which hives needed a queen, I did not do that for number 1, so I would have overlooked this. But as y'all saw previously, I introduced a caged queen to number 1. And I can see she's still in there. So you know what? Since it's been a few days, I'm just gonna release the queens instead of inserting a marshmallow and all the things I talked about. They seem pretty calm. It doesn't look like they're trying to ball her up. So I'm just gonna pull the gummy out and get these queens released today. All right, I'm pretty sure I had 2 gummies in each one. So considering there's only 1, let me, trying to think how I can do this. Actually, I think I'm just gonna pop the top, how I get her in there. And I'm not gonna mark them for now, as being virgin queens. But now that I know they have a queen, okay, there she goes. And she's down in there. She wasn't messing around. I'll check on them next weekend, looking for her, seeing if they have signs that she made it. And then if I can find her, I'll mark her then. All right, same exact thing for 19. In fact, it'll be the same process for all the hives, but just wanted to give you a first look. So let's see. Yeah, she's still in there too. So maybe that's a decent lesson learned. The gummies will give you a few days. Let's see if I can get this cage out of here. Okay. Yeah, she's still doing fine. So pop the top. All right, here she is. Maybe. Come on. Sometimes they are just like really slow going. Let's see. Give her one more round, and I might just pop the whole top off to make it just that much easier. There she is. All right, she popped out that time. And yeah, she's down in there. Maybe maybe number 6's bees will be a little more calm since it's a bit of a smaller colony. Yeah, she's still in there too. So same exact process. Yep. Just pop the top. I'll try the small entrance first. Looks promising. Yeah, sure enough. And all right, she's down in there. All right, moving right along. Down here at number 15, which is not the one I'm looking forward to. We'll see. Maybe just having a queen and her pheromone over the last 2 days has calmed them down a little, but Time will tell. Nope, doesn't seem like it. Alright, so I'm gonna try to be pretty quick. Again, let me give her, okay, there she goes right there. And she's down in there. Here's number 3. Let me let me split the boxes. I wonder if I just put her in the top and forgot to move her down into the bottom. Nope. What in the world? So I left, okay, so I have 3. Apparently I have 3 extra queens. Wonder why I did that. This is why you come back and check stuff. All right, same thing, since they seem a little agitated. It's just rinse and repeat at this point, but number 9 is one of the bigger ones, having 2 mediums, so I try to keep the top medium covered with the inner cover to try and control some of the chaos. Yeah, she's still caged too. So, glad I got back out here to check. Alright, yeah, let's do the same thing. She seems a little more eager to get out. Try to keep a better eye on this one. The last one, the bees got so agitated so quickly, I got a little distracted, so let's give her a few seconds. Come on now. They don't seem agitated with the queen, so maybe it just takes a few days. Alright, there she goes. I'm down here at number 16, and the only reason I'm doing this is I was looking through all the hive notes, and this was a split that I made from hive number 6 after finding a few cells. So I moved the parent queen down to this one, which is number 16, but the reason I'm down here is I noticed I have not been in them since April 4th, so considering it's been the better part of maybe 10 days, I'm just curious to see how they're doing. Alright, yeah, that parent queen seems to be doing okay. Still laying nice brood. They're bringing in some food, even though my one concern is mainly they just don't have a lot of or at least it appears they don't have a lot of field bees. So I'm gonna get a cage just so I can have her in a safe spot and go through the rest of the frames. Okay. Yeah, I've seen enough. They're building up. All right, so phase 1 for today went pretty well. Got the, I think 5. I got the 5 caged queens release, and this is why I sound kind of confused, is because I thought I had 8, but obviously, oh yeah, that does make sense. Man, I don't know what I was thinking. So I got 3 queens to figure out what to do with, right? I thought I guess what I was thinking is I thought I needed 6 queens, but turns out I only needed 5. That's right, because part of that equation I was thinking about pinching hive number 1's because she's been limping along, but all of a sudden she's got her act together and she's doing really nice. So I thought I needed 6, I needed 5. I was able to harvest and cage 8 on Friday. So now I have 3 I need to figure out what to do with. So I moved some hives around to give me a little space between them. I'll show you that. Actually, yeah, let's just walk down and look. So I'm gonna get some pro nukes out here, get them staged, and then go through some of these boxes to figure out which ones I'm gonna pull some brood and food from. But I'm gonna put a pro nuke in that spot, and then in this spot, which as I look at it now, I'll give them a little more space. And the thought behind that is because that side of the yard catches a lot of sun, which tends to help the hives a little bit. So I have my work cut out for me. I'm gonna go get those pro nukes set up, and we'll see what we can get done today. So I decided to get some of the entrance reducers installed on the hives that I brought out after making some splits. And I'm down here on number 18 installing some of the hardware. I happen to look down, and in front of number 9, what do y'all think? I mean, that looks like a queen. Found her on the ground, so I will make a note of that with number 9. Number 9 may have been one of those hives that had a ton of queens hatching. Number 9 or number 5, maybe both. So yeah, I'm just gonna make a note and check on them in a week. So I installed a few entrance reducers, but then on all the ones that have been installed, I took the time to flip them from entrance reducer to a complete blocker, as you'll see. And the thought process behind that was, in case I experience any robbing, I can easily come out here and just drop the entrance blocker in an effort to prevent some robbing. I've also been going back and forth in my head about what I said earlier with the pro nukes and making, I don't even know if you consider it a split, but basically just making a few new hives. And what I've been going back and forth in my head about is because of today's temperature. It is a little on the cool side, and I don't want to run the risk of chilling any brood in the hives that I'm gonna take frames from and then transferring them to the pro nuke, because like I said in today's intro, this morning's temperature and overnight temps were still pretty cold, and those pro nukes are thin plastic or thin-ish. They don't necessarily insulate the same as the woodenware. So that's my thoughts behind that. So the other risk really is how long will those 3 queens survive on top of number 5's inner cover between the inner and outer, right? I basically placed them on top of the center hole to keep heat and to keep the bees feeding them. So it's been 2 days. They seem to be doing okay. I'm gonna roll the dice on those 3 and probably get out here during the week to make those splits or those nukes. Let's take one last look down the line, and that's gonna be it for me. So it's Monday, April 14th, about 2:45. Temperature is 84 degrees, humidity is 38%, and let's talk about a few things that I plan on doing. So first, I plan on finally getting swarm number 3 into some equipment. And the equipment I plan on using is a double stacked 5-frame nuke setup, mainly because they've been in that box for almost a week. Yeah, so bees are bringing in a ton of pollen, which means they're rearing brood, and considering they've been in the swarm trap for, again, almost a week, I'm anticipating a few things. I'm anticipating the 4 frames with new foundation being completely drawn out, and or the bees having built foundation on the bottom side of the frames that fill the void in the swarm box. Why do I confidently say that? Because it's happened several times last year. But before I get to this, I'm gonna get a different ladder and then get some the 5-frame equipment, like I mentioned. I get them into the double stack nuke setup. Oh yeah, that's what I've been doing if you didn't watch last year's video. Catch a swarm, get them into some 5-frame equipment pretty quickly, since the swarm traps now have 5 frames. Add a second 5-frame box on top with all new foundation. And what I found by doing that is, over the course of a week, they'll draw out those 5 new frames, and then you can move them into a 10-frame box. And like usual, let's take a look at the front of the hives, because it is warm, and oh yeah, they are busy. And it's been a few hours, so it's been just about 2 hours since Jen sent me that video of a swarm, and There's also no way to tell if it's one of mine either, and especially now, again, that it's been about 2 hours. So, and I'm really not gonna be able to get into every single one, nor do I want to today, especially after this weekend. Meaning I spent quite a few hours in the bees over the last few weekends, so I'm just gonna walk around the wetlands area, scour the treetops, and maybe I'll have some dumb luck and find the swarm if they're still hanging around. So the other thought also is I've been clipping most of my queen's wings, or at least the one wing, so not all, but most. But you know how things go. It's that one you don't clip. That's the one that ends up swarming. So let's get into swarm number 3. I got everything set up over here so I can easily share that with y'all. I just need to grab them off the ladder. I'm gonna bring the swarm trap just right down here on the ground. Get the 5 frames moved into the bottom box. I left the 5 new frames out just in case I had the idea of maybe bringing up a frame if they're all drawn out into the top box to kind of entice them to build up. So let me go grab them and let's get started. All right, there's probably a lot of field bees out still, so I just have to keep that in mind. All right, let's start pulling some frames. So the frame in the very front here, I can just tell by the color. This was the original. And I put those, it's got some weight to it, because they've been packing away some nectar. I put the original frame up front, just to really entice the bees to check out the trap. So moving a little slow just because I'm looking for the queen. Look at that. So this was a brand new frame. Yeah, they're queen right. They have eggs almost in every cell. Hopefully that's coming up. But look at all the wax they drew out in a week, which is exactly what I want to see. It's so nice with new wax on new foundation, because you can see the eggs so easily. So extremely easy to determine they have a queen. It's just a matter of finding her. And oh, look at that. There she is right there. Unmarked too. So let me get her caged. There she is. There she is right there at the top. Alright, I got her in place. So now I can move through the rest of the box kind of quickly. And this is very unusual because I usually operate alone. I got an audience! Where are you going? Oh, Jen's not one to hang out too long when the bees get a little extra friendly, right? Alright, let's see if I can get this to come up, but like usual, it doesn't look like it's coming up. There's a decent amount of bees still in the trap, so what to do, right? I'm just gonna bang them out on the ground right in front of the 5 frame. And that's the one nice thing about being in the grass here, is I don't have a lot of obstacles to work around. So I'm gonna put this new frame over in what I call, well, it's the far left position. I guess that would be number 5. But yeah, if you have a lot of bees in the box, just bang them out on the ground, and I'll leave the box here for a little bit. I'm gonna get the queen marked. I'm gonna clip her wing, and then I'll show you when I'm releasing her. And then one frame in that, what's gonna be the top box over there. But yeah, that was a nice find. She looks nicely mated. I need to fix that foam part on this marking tool because it's loose now and they're getting hung up on it. But yeah, let's get her out any day now, and then I'll show you how many field bees have returned to the location. There she goes. Yeah, and it's only been maybe 10 minutes. So look at this, holy smokes. This is a strong colony. All right, just set the stacked nuke down. A lot of bees on the tree. I've noticed that last year too. They tend to go back to exactly where the swarm trap was. But on a more positive note, I guess, you can see a whole lot of bees making their way into the nuke and fanning the queen's pheromone to let all the other bees know this is our new home. So that was pretty cool. I don't know if this is numbered correctly, but I just had a marker from last year for 20. I might be back to a full 20 hives. I haven't really been counting. I've just been trying to make do with the space I have and making splits when need be, or actually probably a little later than most folks this year. But again, it's nice to have a full yard. All right, here it is, Tuesday, April 15th, right at 4 o'clock. Temperature is 82 degrees, humidity is 56%, and it's been windy all day with some storm clouds rolling in. This is gonna be a really quick time in the yard. I'm just going out to do, well, two things. Get into nuke number 1 that I made on Sunday, see if the queen's been released, and if not, release her. And then the second order of business, I'm just gonna start moving swarm number 3 down the trail about 3 to 5 feet over the course of the week, with the plan to get them into the yard by this weekend. All right, give you a first look real quick. It seems like she might still be in there, so let me take a look and I'll show you. And yeah, okay. Yeah, she's still in there, so same thing as the previous. Just pop the small opening and give her maybe a few seconds to get out. I'll mark her maybe over the weekend. All right, there she goes. So nuke number 1 has a queen. All right, folks, it is Wednesday, April 16th, just shy of 4:30. Temperature is 71 degrees and the humidity is 32%, and it feels fantastic. So why am I shooting a video on a Wednesday? Why do I have my jacket on? These are all great questions. So Olivia Wolfson from WNCT is actually going to be over here in about 15 to 20 minutes to shoot some video and conduct an interview with me on the topic of swarm season. So speaking of, I am going to take y'all on a quick tour of all the traps, because there is a noticeable increase in activity. And what you're looking at here is a ton of scout bees really interested in this trap. And the interesting thing is, I thought about this over the weekend because it's been probably 2 to 3 weeks, possibly longer, I'm not 100% sure, but it's been a while since I've baited the traps or rebaited, gave them a refresher of the lemongrass oil. So I was thinking about doing that over the weekend. I didn't do it, and here we are midweek and a ton of activity on the swarm traps. So obviously that's the purple one like I showed you before in that corner of the yard. Let's walk to the other corner within the fence line. Check out the red trap, same thing. A lot of very nice activity. And just like in an earlier clip or from the early April video, let's go walk on the other side of the fence, check out the green trap on the corner of the yard, and then we'll take a quick trip out to the bee yard before Olivia gets here. And I'm basically gonna do the same thing with her. I might try to catch some clips and everything as she's trying to shoot some clips. But I'm gonna take her on a tour, show her the swarm traps. We're gonna go out to the yard for that reason. She is interested to get into one of the hives, so that's gonna be pretty cool. She seems pretty excited. I'm pretty excited, so let's get to it. All right, yeah, this is exactly what I was saying. Noticeable increase on practically all the traps. Look at this activity. I mean, holy smokes. Absolutely fantastic to see. Beautiful sound. I'm looking at the nuke I made the other day. So as y'all saw, I released the queen on Tuesday. I'm gonna check on them maybe tomorrow or Friday, or maybe just wait till the weekend to see if if she's not on the bottom. So that is the nice thing with the pro nukes, or I guess any nuke. If they reject the queen and kill her, you should find her on the bottom, because it seems like it's highly unlikely they'll carry her out, unlike a regular hive with a bottom board where they can just drag her out. And in fact, that's what happened maybe last weekend. I found a queen on the ground. Sure if that's the queen I introduced, even if I did introduce a queen, because I got so much stuff going on. I am very dependent on the Hive Tracks app this year to really keep me straight and honest with what I've done in the hives, because there's absolutely no way I could remember all the details just from this past month, with hives going queenless, requeening, hives that swarmed, so on and so forth. So that app has proven to be very effective. And just one last look at the yard. And once we're wrapping up the interview and everything, I've already made up my mind. I'm gonna use old number 12. They're rather calm. It's a smallish colony, so I think that'll be a good one to crack open, because some of these hives, like you've seen in earlier clips or the previous video, especially if they're requeening, they are not the friendliest. All right, as described, I'm here with Olivia Wolfson from WNCT, and this has been pretty fun. Yeah, we're just getting some shots of one of the swarm traps, and then we are going to make our way out into the yard to show Olivia the inside of a honeybee colony and maybe get her to hold a frame.
Yeah.
Hold it.
Yes, I do.
Not much to it, just hold it whatever's comfortable to you. I've dropped plenty of frames.
Can I hold it like, is this?
Yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah.
Can I come like in front with it?
Oh yeah.
And like,
Yeah, they won't mind.
move around it? We are now 3 weeks into spring, which means you might notice some honeybees start swarming in your neighborhood. But local beekeepers say, do not stress.
We are wrapping things up. I think Olivia's had a fun time.
Oh yes, I have.
This was your first time getting into a hive, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
My first time up close and personal with bees like this. So.
Well, I am happy to accommodate. I had fun too. Awesome job. It was a fun interview. Hopefully I shared enough information.
Oh, you definitely did.
Yeah.
So you're perfect.
Yeah, but we are wrapping it up. It's probably 5:30, judging by the sun. So I will get out of your way and let you do your thing. All right, here we go, folks. So I just got home from work. It's Thursday, April 17th, right after 4 o'clock. Temperature is 78 degrees, humidity is 40%, and it feels great. And I don't remember if I walked around yesterday. I think I did, to show y'all the uptick in activity on the swarm traps, but sure enough, Jennifer was home this afternoon, or about midday, sent me a video at 12:45 to show me a swarm moving in. She just happened to be out here in the yard. Massive swarm, she said, flew overhead and straight into this box. So, in case I didn't show that clip earlier, I'll make it a point to do so. But what I've noticed is, if you see a noticeable uptick of activity, scout bees on your swarm traps, just stand by, because you might have a swarm the next day. So that's swarm number 5, and just like swarm number 3, the one in the yellow trap that I moved into the nuke, I'll give them a week, probably get into them this weekend or maybe earlier next week, get them transferred over into another double stack nuke, see if they have a marked queen, and just kind of go from there. So mid-April, and yeah, swarm season is definitely ramping up. Here we go. It's on for sure. I'm gonna walk around and check the other traps real quick. Yeah, that's what I was saying. And they are buzzing me, but it's like I saw a bee bring in pollen, so this might be a swarm too. I'll just make it a point to get into them this weekend and check them all out. Those are drones. I'm just not really accustomed to hearing drones fly, especially at head level. They're noticeably louder. There's another one coming out. So yeah, that's a good chance that is a swarm that moved in. That's all for today. I just wanted to show you the red swarm trap and then the green, since I know a swarm moved into the red and it looks like one moved into the green as well. The rest of the traps have nice activity and the yard is looking great.
We are 3 weeks into spring, which means you may start to see honeybees swarming in your neighborhood. Honeybees do this to expand their colonies and find new homes. They can swarm on anything from tree limbs to cars and even fences. However, local beekeepers say there is nothing to worry about. Unlike hornets and yellow jackets and the insects that can sting you repeatedly, honeybees have a barb in their stinger. So if they sting you and that barb gets stuck in your skin, it'll rip their abdomen out and ultimately kill them. So they're slightly hesitant to sting you just to sting you. And we'll have more on swarming season and what to do if you see a swarm coming up on WNCT 9 News at 6.
Swarming season in eastern North Carolina, which means more bees gathering in large groups.
7 on your side's Olivia Wolfson spoke with a local beekeeper about swarming season and what to do if you have one.
We are now 3 weeks into spring, which means you might notice some honeybees start swarming in your neighborhood. But local beekeepers say, do not stress.
Jeff Crane has been running Cole's Farm NC in Jacksonville for close to a decade. The Marine sells his own honey, with sales typically starting in July. He started out with just one honeybee hive.
The growth really came from catching swarms, mass swarms, or responding to phone calls for homeowners or property owners that found swarms on their property to come out and get them. So it's a win-win situation. The homeowner has a problem solved, they have a honeybee swarm removed from their property, and then the beekeeper gets another colony.
Swarming is when bees leave their hive to start a new colony and expand. The season typically starts in mid-March, but Crane says this year started later because of the weather we had. There's roughly 3,000 to 5,000 bees in a swarm.
They're usually pretty docile because they're looking for their next home. Unlike hornets and yellow jackets and the insects that can sting you repeatedly, honeybees have a barb in their stinger. So if they sting you and that barb gets stuck in your skin, it'll rip their abdomen out and ultimately kill them. So they're slightly hesitant to sting you just to sting you.
Honeybees can swarm to anything ranging from cars to tree limbs to fences. Crane has already removed 4 swarms this season.
The homeowner finds a swarm on their property, no need to panic. Get in touch with one of the beekeepers, they'll come out when they can. And if they move on in the meantime, it's kind of problem solved.
Onslow County Beekeepers Association has a list of beekeepers you can call that will come and remove any swarms.
We will have more information on our website at WNCT.com about swarming season and Cole's Farm NC. For now, in Jacksonville, I'm Olivia Wolfson, 9 on your side.
How cool! Cool?
Yeah!
What'd you think?
Awesome!
Cool. Got your name on the news too!
My daddy's famous!
Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right, here it is a few hours later. It's just after 6:30 and I am out here to treat the colonies with some oxalic acid, which this time of year during the nectar flow I do monthly, so right about mid-month. And I also use the apibioxol, which is, to my knowledge, the only oxalic acid on the market with a label from the EPA stating that it's safe to use when honey super's on. So let me get the smoker lit, get the InstaVap fired up, get my respirator on, and get to it. It's just after 7. I'm finishing up on the last large colony right here. Large being a deep and 2 mediums. They're going to get a full 4 grams. And then the very last colony is just this nuke. I'll probably give them about 2 grams. As y'all seen in previous videos, it really just doesn't take that long thanks to InstaVap to treat this many colonies. All right, welcome back everybody. Here it is, Friday, April 18th, right at 2:45. The temperature is 80 degrees, the humidity is 46%, and it feels absolutely great with the little bit of the breeze we are currently having. At some point in the last 24 hours, or close to 24 hours, swarm number 7 moved in. And the reason I say that is because I was just out here yesterday with WNCT TV, Olivia Wolfson. She did a pretty cool interview on us, which was a previous clip, right? So she was shooting this swarm trap just for some clips, and there was a lot less activity. So I may have said this before, if you see a lot of activity on your swarm trap and you're not sure it's a swarm, give it a day, and the next day you may actually have a swarm moving in. I'm just going to focus on the swarms this weekend and give the hives, the established hives and the hives that are trying to become queen right, I'm going to give them until next weekend to go through them all, whether I do that at once or I break it up on a Saturday and Sunday, which is something I started to do last year, mainly later in the season when it gets real hot. I was only good to go through about half the hives before I was pretty burnt out for that day. And then I found doing half on Saturday, half on Sunday, that seemed to work in an effort to try to not prevent fatigue, but at least reduce fatigue. So longer intro than I planned on making. Hopefully y'all are enjoying these compilation videos. All right, just spent a decent amount of time going through the nuke I made about a week ago or so. And y'all saw in the previous videos when I released the queen, I just went through them about 3 times. It does not look like they have a queen. If they have a virgin queen in there still, I'm just not finding her, and I think I have a pretty good eye of finding virgin queens. So the last queen I have on hand from maybe last week's inspection, I think that was like number 5 that produced a ton of queens. So they're instantly on her. I'm just gonna give it a day or two. So it's Friday. I'm gonna check on them on Sunday and see what's going on. So swarm number 5 moved in yesterday, witnessed by Jennifer firsthand, right around 12:45 or 1 o'clock. So they've been in the trap for just over 24 hours, and I'm making the decision to move the 5 frames into a Pro Nuke. And then this is the point that I'm still kicking around in my head, but I have some time since I still have to get the trap out of the tree, the frames into the Pro Nuke. And the thing I'm kicking around in my head is I'm thinking I might put the trap back in place, close up the entrances. Granted, there might be an entrance at the top if there's a crack or crevice, but the idea was possibly putting the Pro Nuke on top of the trap, securing that with a ratchet strap to either the trap or the tree, and then just leaving the Pro Nuke in place for a few days, maybe up to a week, and then coming out after dark, closing the one entrance or both entrances of the Pro Nuke, and then just doing like a one-shot deal, moving them all in one motion into the bee yard. So let me get the trap down, the frames into the Pro Nuke, and then kind of figure out what I want to do. This is pretty interesting because they look like a pretty small swarm. So I'm going in order. If you can see this, this was the frame towards the back of the trap and then moving forward. So this is the frame right behind the very first frame, the frame in the second position. And the reason I wanted to show you all that is because that's how much wax they've drawn out in just one day. That's why swarms are pretty amazing. All right, here's the very first frame, the used frame. So this is the frame I'm anticipating finding a queen on, and it's just a matter of time. All right, surprisingly, I did not find her. There's a decent amount of bees in the box. So I'm just gonna bang them all out on the ground right in front of the Pro Nuke. Let them crawl into the trap. Just give them a few minutes. I'm still looking for her. But yeah, I'm just gonna give them a few minutes. Put the Pro Nuke on top of the ladder. Let them settle for maybe 30 minutes or so because there's a ton of bees, field bees, that are coming back to where the trap was. So I don't see any marked queen. So okay, just kind of TBD on this one. All right, well, it is not that often that I don't find the queen when moving a swarm from a swarm trap into some equipment. So it's only been a few minutes. And I think I've said this before, but the cool thing about swarms is in just a matter of minutes, once you take the trap down to move them into equipment, you can really get an idea how big of a colony they are, because that is a lot of field bees. All right, just finished up with number 5, and that is the result. So I'm anticipating all these bees making their way up into the nuke box within the next hour or so. All right, that's number 5. I'm saying number 6 is down in the green trap on that side, but since I'm over here, let's go check out number 7, which may have just moved in sometime earlier today. Let's get a first look at number 7. Keeping in mind, they may have moved in earlier today. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with number 5. Just moving the frames from the back of the hive first, working my way to the front, and being mindful to try and find the queen. All right, this is the second frame, and no kidding, just like the other swarm, the only frame that had drawn wax was the very front one. And judging by what I'm looking at, and I'll try to show you too, but hopefully this comes up. Look at how much wax they've drawn out in just a matter of a day or so. I'm gonna put the center frame, or I'm sorry, the front frame. I'm gonna put the front frame in the very middle. All right, well, sad to say, 0 for 2. So just like the other one, I'm gonna get the rest of the bees out of the trap, which there's a few, not too many. And in fact, they're sticking their rears up as if they're fanning she's in here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open up this side, bang them out right here. Here we go. It's a lot more bees in there than I thought there were. All right, we got the bees that I knocked out of the box. They're making their way pretty nicely into the swarm trap. So that's pretty cool. Give them a few minutes. And then I just put this up less than 60 seconds ago. So just like the other one, seems like a pretty strong swarm. All right, well, placed the Pro Nuke on top of the swarm trap less than a minute ago. They started moving up pretty quickly, so I might give you an update in an hour or two, or I may not. My main focus is getting the Pro Nuke secured with a ratchet strap around the tree, so I can go and get swarm number 6, I believe is what I called it, in the green trap. See if they have a swarm and basically do the same thing for them. Each swarm looks about the same, meaning they're just really focusing their efforts on the very first frame, since that's the one that had all the drawn wax. Oh wow. Oh, there she is. Perfect. Finally found a queen. Right there, if you can see her. Unmarked too. All right, let me cage her. So that is cool. Got her. I'm gonna get her into the marking tool and get her marked and clip one of her wings. All right, there she is. That's that. Let's get her marked nicely. So maybe it lasts. And then, since she's sandwiched in there pretty well, let's clip one of these wings. Yeah, it looks like I got the right one. Alright, there she goes. Alright, there you go. Swarm number 5. Not that I am a fan of going back and doing things over, aka rework, but I like this. I like taking the wooden swarm trap down and replacing it with a pro nuke after I'm confident a swarm moved into the trap. All right, I gave number 5 another look, and unfortunately I was not able to find the queen, but I took the time, since I took the trap down to get to the pro nuke down, I took the time to just hang the pro nuke. All right, I just spent a decent amount of time looking through swarm number 7 twice in an effort to see the queen, and I was not able to find her. And as you can see, I did the same as the other 2 by simply taking the trap down and putting the pro nuke in place. And I'll leave them there for maybe until next weekend, since that seems to be perhaps the average time for a swarm to draw out all 5 frames. Well, the 4 frames that have new foundation that's been waxed. So yeah, I think I'll do that. I think next weekend will just be very busy because I plan on going through all the hives and taking these swarms down and getting them moved into some equipment as well. So with these 3, or actually, yeah, with these 3, I'll be up to 23, which is pretty cool. All right, that does it for me. That does it for the mid-April video, because it is getting kind of long. I'm trying to keep them to about an hour, but as y'all can see, that's rather difficult for me because I have a lot of stuff going on that I want to share with everybody. So hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Cole's Farm here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. See you later this month.